What's going on there, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, every single day that goes by, I continuously get happier and happier that I didn't go ahead and purchase Black Ops 7. As you guys can obviously see, I'm using Battlefield 6 footage. I do apologize. I ran out. I ran out of Black Ops 7 beta footage. I can keep reusing it, I suppose, but I know that's going to get boring to watch in the background, so we're just going to move on and go back over to Battlefield 6 and just showcase this gameplay instead. But ladies and gentlemen, it seems that Activision is not done rug pulling the overall community. They already did a few things already leading up to the launch of Black Ops 7. But it's not stopping there. They are going to continuously push, and it wouldn't shock me if they push even harder, throughout these upcoming months. But, ladies and gentlemen, of course, before we go and dive on deep, if you guys are interested in more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the bell. It posts twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, got a link to that channel down in the description of this video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, recently, Treyarch came out and gave everybody some information on what they're going to be doing to the overall Black Ops 7 experience. They're going to be doing some buffs, some nerfs here and there when it comes to the weapons and, other things. Personally, I don't really care because I don't play the game right now, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. But what I do care about is something very important, one of the biggest selling factors for Black Ops 7. It had a few things going for it. Persistent servers, reduced skill-based matchmaking, and toned it down aim assist. And the big three was literally exactly what people were purchasing into the game for, because that's what everybody was expecting. And lo and behold, a lot of that stuff is going to be changing now. I want to just go ahead and play a little quick snippet for you guys. You guys can hear it, and of course, we'll go ahead and discuss afterwards.
So yes, aim assist is a big conversation out there. We have been closely monitoring that conversation. And of course, looking at our internal data, we're fairly happy with where we're at, but we will be making some very nuanced changes and slightly increasing aim assist strength over range ahead of Season 1.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the beginning of basically tuning aim assist to make it exactly what it was before. Of course, it's not going to be that bad right now. They're only doing slight adjustments. But you know dang well not a single person, at least from what I can tell, I've been on Twitter all over the place looking at people respond to this, and people are absolutely up in arms. This is just not what they wanted. People were adapting. Controller players were finally happy again. And it was weird at first, don't get me wrong, because, of course, after having 5+ years of something extremely thick because of opening up crossplay and allowing PC players in, obviously that's when they changed the aim assist to make it a little bit more competitive for them. But reducing it back down, a lot of controller players were happy because they can finally see who the best of the best actually were, The previous aim assist that we had made it to the point where any single person in the world can get a kill. Even me, myself, I used to be good on the controller, but ever since I switched to mouse and keyboard, and I've been maining it for years now, I can't play on a controller for the life of me. I look like an absolute bot. I look like I've never played an FPS game before my whole life. It's actually kind of hilarious. But when I go ahead and hop back on a controller, just for, the craps and giggles of it, I can get kills. Not all the time. Of course, I'm not like dropping nukes or anything like that. I'm not saying that the AA that they have within Call of Duty is so overpowered that, little Timmy can drop nukes every other game. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but I am saying that I get a lot of kills that I probably should not be getting, where my fingers just aren't adjusted to the analog sticks. I feel a little off. I know I'm not, using the controller properly, yet and still the AA is so incredibly sticky that I don't have to move my thumbs whatsoever. All I got to do is just hover on top of an enemy, use the left stick, and just kind of strafe my reticle on top of the opponent, and bam, the AA does the rest of the work for me. And a lot of people are happy that this got reduced because, as I stated, I know controller players don't like this because they have to verse mouse and keyboard players, but there's a wonderful thing called crossplay off, where you don't have to verse PC players whatsoever. This change right here is good for the controller players. A lot of people think, PC guys are just trying to hype this up because they want to, kick everybody's butt. PC guys don't care. Honestly, the majority of PC players don't even want to verse controller players, even with the reduced AA. They would prefer to verse other mouse and keyboard players. So I have to make this very clear because everybody always tries to throw this out. I'm not saying this because, I want to stomp a controller player. No, I'm saying this because controller players deserve to have a fair environment with one another where they don't have to worry about little Timmy beaming them across the map because they don't have to move their analog sticks. No, just like back in the OG days, although I did hear that the AA is a little bit more toned back compared to the OG days, but still, even in the OG days, you had to aim. You know, you could tell who a better Call of Duty player was and a worse Call of Duty player. And never throughout a whole match do you see that bad Call of Duty player getting a random kill halfway across the map because, you know, they're AA stuck. No, if they can't kill you across the map, then they're probably trying to close the gap on you to get extra up close and personal because they can't aim long range. And that's just simply how it was. And I have a very huge fear right now that we are about to get rug pulled on once again another thing, the aim assist. You know, they already started off with the skill-based matchmaking. As you guys know, you know, I think everybody out there on Twitter right now is saying that the skill-based matchmaking is not the same thing from the beta. I don't know. I haven't bothered playing because I don't care to find out. I know Activision is scummy. I know they're going to do everything in their power to try to finesse people over. And for some reason, people want to trust this company after they lied to us for, you know, what, 5+ years about the matchmaking bracket and how it's so healthy for their overall player numbers. And then out of nowhere, out of the blue, they say, oh, never mind. We're going to reduce it and make it like classic matchmaking. Yeah, let me tell you guys something. They are so full of it. They are trying to finesse the community. And I would not be shocked if a lot of the people online who are saying that it was a rug pull right now are correct, because from what I can tell, it kind of seems that way. Now, of course, it might not be, because obviously a lot of the casual marketplace is not playing Black Ops 7 right now, just with how sweaty the movement is and all that, which I have a completely separate video planned that I want to share with you guys. I actually talked about this topic a couple of times already, but I want to talk about it again because it's just ridiculous. You know, the hate, because it always seems like Call of Duty tries to bring back the OG formula, but then everybody complains about it. So, as I stated, we'll make a separate topic about that. But back to the main point, the whole community feels like they just got rug pulled. You know, they're all having a blast during the beta. The lobbies felt varied and unique in the beta. And then full launch comes, and it turns right back to what people have been dealing with for the past 5+ years. People are once again feeling like they got screwed over by Activision. And now, here we are with the AA. They said they were reducing it because they wanted to please everybody. But now that the game is out, right, they're slowly but surely creeping it back up, probably to what it was before. And as I stated, it's not going to be right away. They're not just going to say, oh, you know, we're just going to go right back to what the AA was before, because that's going to be too jolting for a lot of people. It's going to be a gradual increase. And after seeing this, I wouldn't be shocked if update after update after update, they continuously say, oh, minor little adjustment to AA here. Oh, minor little adjustment to AA there. They're going to make sure they emphasize minor adjustments because they don't want people to freak out, but I guarantee we're going to go right back to what AA was beforehand. No doubt in my mind. And with that being said, it almost worries me about persistent servers. If they're willing to, you know, screw people over when it comes to the matchmaking and willing to screw over their word when it comes to the AA, who's to say that persistent servers are, you know, not going to stay? I guess they will probably stay because it's the only thing Activision can't get away with. You know, skill-based matchmaking, they can hide. We can talk the talk, we can claim things, but we can't prove it. We can't. And, you know, if we try to bring it up to Activision, they can always just say, well, no, you guys are going crazy. We reduced it. It's low, you know? And same thing with the AA, right? I guess we could have some testing behind the scenes. Like people like Exclusive Ace can continuously save what it looks like in previous builds and then continuously see, you know, how it's progressing up to what they're doing at current date. We could always do that, but still, you know, at the end of the day, they could still say, oh, no, we barely even touched it. But when it comes to persistent lobbies, the second you start seeing people getting kicked out after your lobby and getting rematched, you know, that's obvious. Anybody can just load into a game and see if persistent lobbies are working or if they're not working. So I don't know if they'll mess with that one. But at this point, Activision is doing so much scummy crap, and it wouldn't shock me. It's sad, guys, because honestly, as I stated, a lot of this stuff might not be that big of an issue, but Activision has ruined the trust of so many individuals that nobody trusts them. I don't think there's a single thing in this world that Activision can do right now that will get people on board with their product. I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. They're going to try to win people over, but it's going to take years. It is going to take years. This community has been lied to for years and gaslit into thinking that they were completely wrong about so many different topics within the Call of Duty, you know, world. And now they just think in a blink of an eye, they're all going to forgive them and run on back. I'll tell you what, a lot of people will, because, you know, as I stated, COD is COD. People are going to buy it every single year, no matter what. And it's irrelevant. But I'm telling you, as time goes on, more casuals are going to start dropping. And as more games that, you know, cater to casuals more than COD, like Battlefield 6 or Arc Raiders start coming on out here, there's other alternatives. There were not alternatives beforehand, you know? Yeah, go play 2042, right? Yeah, let me tell you how many casuals want to play that. Or play Halo Infinite. I'll be real, I don't really think Halo Infinite gameplay-wise was that bad, but the launch with the lack of content was so rough that it automatically killed it right away. But again, there's not many FPS games out there that are, of course, not PvE focused, like actual PvP games that allow casuals to be casual. You know what I'm saying? Like, during this time frame of Call of Duty's dominance and nobody else competing, Call of Duty was the main PvP title. If you wanted to play a PvP shooter, you were going to have to play Call of Duty. But now that there are true alternatives in games, again, like Battlefield 6, where you can tell that it's not thick skibbies matchmaking whatsoever, right? Like, you're not being forced into MLG lobbies every single 5 seconds of your life. It's a perfect mix, a perfect variety all the time. You could feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people can feel it now. And they go back into Call of Duty and they instantly see that the matchmaking does not feel how it should. We even had examples like X-Defiant. You know, if you played X-Defiant a decent amount, you know what no-scope-based matchmaking feels like. You know what the normal rotation looks like. Call of Duty is not running that up right now. And as I stated, now that we actually have alternatives, we are seeing casuals truly jump ship. And if Activision wants those people to come back and start trusting their words, they're just going to have to suck it up and wait the years and hopefully don't screw us over for those years. Exactly like EA with Battlefield. EA was scummy. EA was killing Battlefield, right? Like, these past handful of years with Battlefield were horrendous, and all of us knew that if Battlefield 6 flopped, that's the end of the franchise. That's how bad it was getting. And EA had to change. They had to shift their direction, shift how they talk to the community, and it took years to convince players. It wasn't overnight. It took years to convince anybody to trust them again. But here we are, right? And they were able to turn things around, and Call of Duty can do the same exact thing, but it's going to be a grind. And I can't lie. I don't care partially, but I'm also excited at the same time because I want Call of Duty to have a nice return to form. But like I said, patience is going to be key with this one, and we don't know. Activision, I mean, and also the community as well. What's going to happen when Battlefield is on year 2, right? It's not a new Battlefield game coming out. We're on year 2 of this game, and we have to rely on updates and content, not a fresh game. Are people still going to be sticking around with it as much as having a brand new COD game still dropping? I know we all say, oh, another yearly COD. But the casual audience at a certain point, they just want something fresh. They don't care. And if the holiday season comes around next year and there's no other FPS games on the market, but you see Modern Warfare 4, you know, they might scoop it up. So we'll see how things pan out, but I hope that people can continuously put their foot down because as we could see right in front of our own eyes, all the major changes that they have made to try to convince people to come in are slowly being shifted away and changed. So, I mean, I think that if people continuously put their foot down, maybe that won't happen and we can get good quality products. But it's only if this community can make a true stand. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, go link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.